Hey, today we're going to do a photo shoot with thrifted items. So one of the questions I get the most about my photography is like, where do you get all these dresses? We have a ton of dresses here. And honestly, most of them are vintage or secondhand. So I thought it would be fun to show you what I look for when I go to the secondhand stores or when I shop for vintage and do a photo shoot. So we have a very pretty model today and I bought some items. You'll see where I go in the secondhand store and I will tell you what I look for. So yeah, just come along. We went to a secondhand store and for all the Dutchies here, we went to Amersfoort, to the Kringloopcentrum Amersfoort, which, you know, it's just a normal secondhand store, but what they do have is a special vintage section. So I really like to shop there because they already curated some of the cool pieces. I do have certain things that I look for when I go out vintage shopping. I look for pleating, I look for things that have shine in it, like a fabric that shines a little bit. Lace I do like, or things with volume, or items with a certain shape that you don't see in normal daily wear, like puffy sleeves or a high collar or something just special, you know? I have found a ton of cool items throughout the year, so it's not like every time I shop I find something really, really awesome that I always want to use, but I do have an eye for it now where I know, okay, this will work and that won't work. Those are the basics I look for. So pleats, shine, lace, color is very important to me. Depending on the theme that we have, I do like normally to work with a little bit more of brighter colors, not white or black, because if I have something with a brighter color, I can change the color if I want to. So that's something I normally look for. In this case, I didn't care too much and we just went with what they had. And so especially I love the vintage big poofy dress. I also bought this like more 60s, 70s short dress that we did not use on the shoot eventually, but I will use another time. But I really love the wedding dress. So we definitely use that one and you'll see that really soon. Deze wil ik zelf. So we picked up Marcella at the station here in Putten. So small, so cute. But yeah, she is a really cool artist. She makes clothing by herself. She has her own Instagram and also she makes clothing out of secondhand pieces. So was really up our par. Okay, so the first outfit, we were really lucky with this dress because it was hanging at the back and we saw a woman working, she was sewing stuff and I asked like, okay, what's the price? She says, well, we're not selling it right now because it has a stain in it. And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter for me. So we bought it for $14.50. It's a vintage, we think like wedding dress or maybe for an event, for a, what do you call it, gala? A gala, yeah. And we also have these earrings, which I also bought in a secondhand store. Not today, but I bought them another time for like, I don't know, I think they were €1 or something. So we got a really, really great deal. I know these kind of dresses you don't see always in vintage stores or in secondhand stores, but we're just really lucky today. So we're gonna shoot with a darker background today and we're going to try several things out, so you're gonna see. So when I work with this setup, what I normally especially look for technically is that the skin or the dress, which in this case is white, and she's very light-skinned like me, that can't be over-lightened. And that can be sometimes a little bit hard to find like the in-between spot where the dark parts are not too dark and the light parts are not too light. But I always use reflectors to kind of bounce the light back or make the shadow softer. So eventually, if you kind of know what you're doing, it's a pretty easy setup. Just daylight from the side and maybe something to darken up, you know, get some shadows, get some flags out there. But yeah, super simple. Everybody can do this with a little bit of creativity.
For the second look, we have this golden top, which is totally me because I'm like a Xer. I'm like the bird that goes to the shiny thing, so I love this. It was a little bit more expensive because it's a fashionable brand, new brand, so it was like, I think it was about 10 bucks, but the pants were like $3.50, I think. And we still need to search for some earrings. Oh no, we still have earrings. Yeah, these were like $1 also from the secondhand store. So we're gonna shoot with a black background and make it look really like high-end portraits.
So for this second setup, I've also tried to keep it as simple as possible. So if you have a window, you could probably do this as well. It's with butterfly lighting, so light from the front and flags from both sides. It can be a little harder in the sense that if you don't have flags, it's harder to make, but maybe if you have some curtains that you can hang on something and you can make a little nook, you can do this. Or what works really well is, for example, use an open door or a shed, like put your model like in the door frame of a shed and go and sit outside, and if the shed is dark enough on the sides, it will create the shadows already. It's very beautiful light. The eyes most of the time pop, and especially if you have a dark background, it can look very luxurious. Most of my backdrops have cost me under 10 euros. Sometimes I use wallpaper, which is 20 euros maybe, but I reuse them all the time. If you buy wallpaper, one thing I want you to keep in mind is like vinyl works better than when it's flat on paper, because that will wrinkle real easy, but when it has like a vinyl layer, even if it's a little bit, it won't wrinkle as quickly. Oh, and roll them up and set them up like straight up when you save them. Don't lay them on the floor because it will press on its own weight and you'll get wrinkles in it anyway. So that's my tip for you if you want a cheap backdrop. So for the third setup, we actually used strobes. So I used a big umbrella to cover a lot of the backdrop, and yeah, it's a very simple setup with just one light. But it has this really soft feel to it because I wanted to keep it soft. We used a dress of Marcella that she made herself, so that was really cool. And we used just a paper backdrop, a normal paper backdrop. I don't work very often with these kind of backdrops. Maybe good to know, because a lot of people think, oh, that's a professional studio setup with that kind of backdrop because you can buy it at a camera store. Really, it does not matter. If the backdrop looks good, it looks good. It doesn't need to be professional. So many people get stuck on just what has to be, when on a budget you can do so much. So if you have one strobe, you can do a lot depending on what kind of modifier you have. In this case, I used a really big umbrella. It was really soft lighting, maybe a little bit daylightish, but yeah, it was really nice. And so for the fourth setup, I also used strobes with light from the top. Used a pretty big umbrella with a black outside. I used this all the time in my own work. I really love this look. This dress was actually new. It was on sale. Sometimes I do buy new things. I think it was from Asos, but I don't think it's the Asos brand, but I'm not really sure. I don't buy there very often anymore. I used to, but since I've been looking for more sustainable solutions, I do buy more secondhand than new. But it's a really nice dress for the reason that it has a shine in it. It was pretty cheap. I think it was around 20 to 30 bucks maybe. And it has a lot of effect with this light, because the light comes from the top. It creates a great shadow under the chin and in the pleats, or when there's shine, it plays with that shine and shadows. So yeah, it was a really nice setup to do.
All right, so you saw different things that we did today. Not everything was secondhand and vintage, but we also wanted to try some other stuff. But there's a lot you can do with secondhand stuff. So my advice is just go into the stores and find stuff that speaks to you, and sometimes even though you don't know what to do with it yet, you'll find a way to use it. So most of the things I look for is like shine in the clothing. If it shines, it's really nice, or if it's retro or from a certain era. You don't find those very often, but the shiny stuff you will find pretty much often. And especially look into the earrings section, because a lot of the times they have like old school earrings that you can use. and look at the curtain section because you can find some pretty good backdrops there. So I just have a lot of fun with it and just go for it. Thanks so much to Marcella and Jari, who you can't see, but he helped a lot. And Marcella will put her Instagram in the description so you can look her up. And thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe because I want to put out more content. So the more you like it, the more I feel like everybody's watching. So thank you so much and I'll see you next time. Bye.